A complete Stoic guide to change your life in 2026. You did not arrive here by accident. You came because something inside you knows that this year cannot be a repeat of the last. You feel the quiet pull toward clarity, toward discipline, toward the version of you that no longer moves in chaos or reacts without thought. The world around you grows louder every day, but the part of you that wants depth has started to wake up. This is not about motivation that fades. It is about returning to yourself, to the stillness you forgot, to the strength you stopped trusting. The Stoics taught that change does not begin outside. It starts in the mind, in the choices you make, in the courage to see what you have avoided. And if you feel that shift already beginning, then stay with me. This is your moment to choose a life of reason, calm, and deliberate action. If you want to walk this path with me, take 1 second to subscribe to Stoic Legacy. It is a small gesture, but it helps this message reach more people who need it, and it anchors your first act of commitment to the new life you are ready to build. Part 1. The Inner Earthquake and Awakening to Self-Awareness. Most people wait for disaster before they finally listen, but the truth is the first signs of collapse always appear inside long before anything outside breaks. You feel it as a restlessness that stays even when life looks fine. You feel it as the quiet swirl of anxious thoughts even when nothing is truly wrong. These are not random discomforts. They are warnings from the soul telling you that you have drifted away from yourself. The real earthquake never begins with events. It begins with perception. It begins when you move through days without reflection, when you obey every emotion without understanding it, when you make choices out of pressure instead of principle. These slips are small, but they fracture the inner foundation until one day everything feels heavy and you cannot explain why. It is easy to blame the world for the noise, but the noise grows loud only when the mind is unguarded. The Stoics taught that chaos thrives when you forget your own inner authority. You lose control not because life attacks you, but because you stopped paying attention to your thoughts. Epictetus said it clearly. It is not what happens but how you react that matters. Most people never pause long enough to question that reaction. But awareness begins the moment you stop saying "I do not know why I behave this way" and start asking, "What truth am I ignoring?" That question is the quiet beginning of transformation. It is not dramatic. It is not loud. It is a return to yourself, the kind that slowly pulls you out of the fog and invites you to rebuild from the inside with clarity instead of confusion. Part 2. Returning to the Inner Citadel. There is a place within you that does not move when the world shakes, a steady center the Stoics called the Inner Citadel. You drifted from it over time without noticing as opinions, obligations, noise, and expectation pulled you outward. You began believing your peace depended on how others treated you, on outcomes, on timing, on approval. And every time life changed suddenly, your stability went with it. But the truth is simple. Nothing outside you can touch your foundation unless you hand it over. The fortress is still there waiting for you to return through silence, through honesty, through remembering that peace is not earned from the world but chosen within. When you reconnect with that center, you stop chasing validation and begin sensing your own strength again. You stop collapsing in the face of uncertainty because your identity is no longer built on shifting ground. The fortress is not about withdrawal. It is about alignment. It teaches you that calm is not the absence of chaos but the presence of clarity. And once you stand inside it, you realize the world never had the power you once gave it. Only you did. Part 3. The dichotomy of control. Most of your suffering has never come from life itself but from your fight against what was never yours to control. You spent years trying to bend outcomes, predict futures, manage people, and rewrite events that were already set in motion. And every time life refused to obey your script, you felt powerless. But the Stoics taught a truth that frees you the moment you accept it. Control is not found in changing the world but in choosing your response to it. You cannot control what others say or do. You cannot control delays, detours, or disappointments. But you can control your perception, your intention, your effort. And that shift changes everything. Instead of wasting energy resisting what is, you begin investing energy into what can be shaped from within. You feel less anxious because you stop gripping what was never yours. You feel less defeated because you start winning the only battle that matters, the one inside your own mind. Life does not get easier when you accept the dichotomy of control. You simply stop making it harder. You begin to move cleaner, think clearer, and act from strength instead of panic. And that is where real freedom begins. Part 4. The Art of Letting Go. Most people think their exhaustion comes from working too hard or carrying too much, but the truth is simpler. You are tired because you refuse to release what has already slipped through your hands. You fight the current of life as if resistance will force things back into place, yet all it does is drain you. The Stoics understood that letting go is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the recognition that clinging to outcomes only breeds frustration and that peace arrives the moment you stop demanding that life match your expectations. When you let go, you do not abandon effort. You abandon the illusion that effort guarantees results. You stop trying to control timing. You stop trying to control people. You stop trying to force the world into your preferred shape. And something remarkable happens. You move with life instead of against it. You adapt faster. You suffer less. You learn to redirect your energy toward what can actually grow instead of what is already gone. Letting go is not giving up. It is choosing clarity over chaos. It is choosing movement over stagnation. It is choosing yourself over the stories you once outgrew. When you release the grip, life finally has space to give you something better than what you were clinging to. Part 5. Tend the inner garden. Your mind is soil and it never rests. It grows whatever you feed it, whether you meant to plant it or not. This is why people wake up one day and feel lost without knowing how they got there. They were tending everything except themselves. They waited for the world to calm down. They waited for motivation. They waited for the perfect moment. And while they waited, weeds took root. Worry became habit. Doubt became identity. Distraction became comfort. But the Stoics knew that peace is never delivered. It is cultivated with daily care. When you treat your mind like a garden, you understand that your thoughts are seeds and your habits are water. You choose what to nurture. You remove what does not belong. You notice the first signs of decay before they spread. You stop blaming the weather for what you refuse to maintain. This is not about perfection. It is about presence. A few minutes of honest reflection can save you from months of mindless drifting. A single routine done with intention can steady an entire day. Even in difficult seasons, growth is possible because soil does not stop being fertile just because storms pass through it. You become stronger when you return to the garden each day, even when you do not feel like it. Especially then. The work is quiet but the results are loud. Clarity grows. Discipline grows. Gratitude grows. And slowly your inner world becomes a place that supports you instead of a place you must escape. This is how real change begins. Not by waiting for life to ease up, but by caring for the ground beneath your feet so that whatever happens around you, you remain rooted. Part 6. Watch the stories your mind creates. Something happens and before you even take a breath your mind writes a story about it. You are late and suddenly you call yourself careless. Someone ignores your message and suddenly you assume they are disappointed in you. A plan changes and suddenly you believe your life is falling apart. But none of this is fact. It is interpretation, and interpretation is the real source of suffering. The Stoics understood that events do not break you. Your judgments about them do. Two people can face the same moment and walk away with entirely different experiences because one questioned the story while the other obeyed it. Your mind loves to jump ahead. It loves to predict disaster. It loves to protect you by imagining the worst. But protection is not the same as truth. And the more you let these untested stories control you, the smaller your world becomes. This is why the pause matters. The small quiet space between what happened and what you tell yourself about it. In that space you can ask simple questions. Is this true? Is this helpful? Is this fear speaking or clarity? That single moment of awareness can stop a spiral before it begins. You start to see how many emotions you carry that were born from assumptions, not reality. You stop reacting to shadows. You stop attacking yourself with thoughts that were never examined. And slowly you reclaim your power, because the moment you stop believing every story your mind creates, you stop being controlled by it. This is not suppression. It is sovereignty. A clear mind is not a mind without emotion. It is a mind that no longer confuses imagination with truth. That is the beginning of inner freedom, and once you feel it, you never want to live any other way. Part 7. Emotional mastery over impulse is the moment you learn that emotions are not the enemy but the doorway to clarity and growth, and the transcript makes this clear because it shows how many people live controlled by reflex rather than reflection, and that is why this part must teach you to slow down before emotion becomes action, because that pause is where your power begins, and this is the heart of Stoic discipline in this section of the transcript, where it explains that anger, fear, jealousy, and impulse are not meant to command you but to guide you, and you start to understand that the real danger is not feeling something deeply but reacting without awareness and losing yourself in moments that should have been teaching you instead. And when you learn to use the space between sensation and response, you reclaim every part of your life that once felt chaotic, because now emotion becomes information, not identity, and you become someone who does not panic when provoked, does not crumble when overwhelmed, does not lash out when triggered, but instead observes, breathes, and chooses with intention. As the old text says, the mind becomes free not by force but by understanding, and this is where you learn that presence is stronger than impulse and that awareness is stronger than reaction. And when you can hold your emotions without letting them spill into your actions, you become someone the world cannot shake, because you finally trust yourself to stay grounded even when storms rise inside you. Part 8. The discipline that shapes your future is the truth the transcript ends with, because it shows that nothing in your life will hold its shape without the structure you build daily. And discipline is not about force or punishment but about alignment with the person you want to become. And this part teaches you that every habit, every repeated action, every small promise kept is a stroke of the chisel shaping the sculpture of your life. Just like the transcript says, you are both the sculptor and the stone, and discipline is the tool you hold in your hand, and the more intentionally you use it, the clearer your life becomes, because discipline protects you from distraction, from self-betrayal, from drifting into a version of yourself you no longer respect. And when you choose to do what matters even when it is not easy, you create a life that feels stable, purposeful, and rooted in strength rather than chaos. And you realize that discipline is not about restricting your freedom but about reclaiming it. Because only when you govern your habits can you govern your future. And that is the closing truth of the transcript, that your life is not a random sculpture carved by circumstance but a masterpiece carved by your decisions. And 2026 becomes the year you finally pick up the chisel with intention and shape the person you are meant to be. This year will only change if you do, and the transcript reminds you again and again that nothing outside you has more power than the choices you repeat and the presence you bring to each moment. And as you walk into 2026, I want you to remember that clarity is built, not found, that peace is practiced, not granted, and that strength is created in the quiet places where no one is watching. And if this message stirred something real inside you, then take a second for yourself, breathe slow, and decide that this will not be another year of drifting but a year of deliberate action, a year where you reclaim your inner fortress, your discipline, your focus, your purpose. And if you want to walk this path with me, if you want more teachings like this, more reminders of the person you are becoming, then subscribe to Stoic Legacy right now, because every bit of support helps this message reach more people who need it just like you. Stay steady, stay intentional, and stay rooted, because this is the year you build a life you respect. Stay stoic and build your Stoic legacy.